Welcome back to another video, Rom. Today we're going to be talking about characters that never made it to Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled. Earlier this year, the game turned 4 years old. There isn't a PC release that we can see happening anytime soon, and the last time the game received any type of new content was years ago, so I think we can safely say these characters are never going to make it to the game. But I think we can all agree that nobody expected them to add this many characters to the game, this much content to the game after it was initially released. They added so many characters, some of them originating from very obscure games in the series like Yaya Panda, who was in 3 Crash games, but I can guarantee that most of you haven't played them. We had characters from some of the Game Boy games like Mega Mix, and they even added Iron Checkpoint Crate. So really, any character on this list I'm about to talk about had the potential to make it in. If they can turn a crate into a, I don't know, sentient being that can drive, then really anyone could have made it to this game. So let's start off with characters that I'm actually surprised didn't make it into the game, because the majority of them I can look at them and go, yeah, of course, they never stood a chance. But there are 2 or 3 that I'm shocked actually never were added at any point. I'm very confident that they were going to arrive in the game at some point. Starting off with the main antagonists from Crash Twinsanity, the Evil Twins. I could be wrong, but I don't think you get to see their in-game character model at any point in the game until maybe the end when you fight them. But you know, you see them in cutscenes throughout the entire game. They are who you're going after and you get to fight them at the end. That's why I was confident they would be added to Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled at some point. Again, take a look at some of the characters that were added to Nitro-Fueled, you know, Yaya Panda and whatnot. If they can make it, you'd think the main antagonists of a Crash game would make it as well. And I think they really should have actually added these to the game, because I think they could have done something a bit unique with them. The Evil Twins are very tiny characters, and they could have done something very unique with that. They could have had them race in the same kart together. They could have maybe made it so that one character is throwing items while the other one is driving and whatnot. I think it could have been pretty cool. And like I said, they are the main villains of an entire Crash game. There's so many more obscure characters that actually ended up making it to Nitro-Fueled that I'm still shocked that they never made it. Moving on to Willy Wumpa from Crash Tag Team Racing, basically the main antagonist of this game as well. You know, Willy Wumpa is the one that stole Von Clutch's Black Heart Power Gem, and then you end up chasing after him and recovering it in the final world of that game. And the craziest thing about this one is that we ended up getting other Crash Tag Team Racing characters in one of the Grand Prix updates. The DLC characters in the Neon Circus Grand Prix were Pasadena, Von Clutch, and Koala Kong. I don't understand why Willy Wumpa wasn't added to the game in this update. It would have been the perfect time to bring them with the other Crash Tag Team Racing members, and he again was the main, but he's a big part of that game. I don't really understand why he never was added to it. I just found it strange that we did get characters from Crash Tag Team Racing, we got karts from that game, so I didn't think it was unreasonable to get the main antagonist of the game as well. So they are 2 characters that I was so confident we'd see them in Nitro-Fueled at some point, but no, never happened. Moving on to other characters that people listed out, and again, not like completely unreasonable, but I never really had too much hope for them. Rusty Walrus. Now, Rusty Walrus was only a part of one game, that being Crash Twinsanity, and he was only a part of a small section of that game. He was a part of the section where you've just beat an engine and the platform falls through, and then you fall back into Engine's battleship where Rusty Walrus is. I think people are very familiar with Rusty Walrus and remember him so well because of one bit of dialogue that he has, and how many times you might need to hear that piece of dialogue. Anytime you die at this section, which is probably going to be quite often because Rusty Walrus is very quick, so then you start slide jumping to gain a bit of speed on him, and you slide jump into a nitro crate, or you slide jump into a gap on the floor. So you're probably going to be restarting this section quite a bit, and every time you do, you're going to hear the line,
"Ah, yummy, fresh meat for my pot."
And even though he never made it to Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled as a playable character, he did get referenced on one of the tracks. He was a bit too obscure, and I think they just decided, you know what, let's give him a reference, but we're not going to make him a playable character. Next up, we have another Twinsanity character. We actually have quite a few Twinsanity characters here. Madame Amberly. Now, Madame Amberly probably wouldn't fit into a cart, and maybe that's why they didn't want to do that. I mean, I don't know, they've made it happen with other characters, with other big characters. They probably could have scaled her down a bit, but she is a boss in the Academy of Evil in Twinsanity, and just like Rusty Walrus though, while not made a playable character, did actually receive a reference on one of the tracks. And again, she's a one-time thing, a one-time boss in that area, doesn't really appear at any point in the game or other games in the series. So It's probably the devs thinking, yeah, maybe a bit too obscure to make as a playable character, but we'll at least give a nod to them. Next up, a character from a portion of Twinsanity, probably the shortest sequence in the game that a character can have. Farmer Ernest from Twinsanity. Farmer Ernest is a parody character. You're walking along and he's like, hey, can you help me with these worms, this infestation I've got? And then Cortex just fucking shoots him, paralyzes him. And that's it. He never appears ever again in the game. So, very, very obscure character that would have been a bit weird, honestly, if they added him to the game. I don't think he deserves to be in the game. He never was going to make it into the game. I might have mentioned him in a video before, but if I ever thought he should come to the game, I was wrong, okay? Next up, we have a character from Twinsanity that I think was probably shown on screen longer than Farmer Ernest, and I actually think does deserve a spot in Nitro-Fueled as a parody character, and that is the Skunk. The Skunk, at first, is just another back and forth enemy. You know, the enemies that are just walking along as little obstacles and you just spin them and move on with your day. Well, this Skunk looks like any ordinary enemy at the beginning of Twinsanity, but as you approach him, a cutscene plays and he's like, fuck this! I'm tired of walking back and forth over and over again. I'm sick of it, and I'm not doing it anymore.
Hey! Yeah, you! I've been doing this for 10 stinking years. Back and forward, and I'm sick of it. Well, I'm not gonna do it no more.
And he just stands there with his arms crossed. Unfortunately for him, there's about 20 nitro crates behind him. So I think what the developers intended was for you to slide tackle him or to spin him into those crates and blow him up. And I think that's what 99% of us did while playing the game. I don't care. I would have loved to see him in Nitro-Fueled. I think it would have been funny, you know, the random skunk that just decided he wants to quit his job, makes it into Nitro-Fueled, and you can race as him. I think it would have been pretty cool, just as a little parody character, similar to, you know, the Iron Checkpoint crate. I think it could have been just as funny as that. Next up, we have Bearminator from Crash Bash. Again, just a one-time boss, didn't really appear in any other game after that. Bearminator was, I don't know, kind of like a bear in a tank, like a general, like a military general. But again, I really did not think we'd be seeing him in any other game, and I guess we were right. It just wasn't going to happen. One of the last characters on my list is Viscount from Crash Boom Bang. Now, I know the devs of Nitro-Fueled looked at the whole series as inspiration to pull different things from different places to add them into Nitro-Fueled. I think just like the rest of us, they forgot about Boom Bang. I could have seen them making a 3D model for Viscount. I could see exactly how it would look like in Nitro-Fueled, but we're never going to see that. So how about we go back to forgetting Crash Boom Bang ever existed? And that is pretty much it for characters that actually had a decent chance of being added to Nitro-Fueled. And when I say decent chance, I mean, after seeing some of the characters they added to the game, it wouldn't be completely unreasonable to see any of these added at some point for whatever reason. Like I said earlier, 2 characters out of this list that I think really should have been added to the game before they stopped support were the Evil Twins and Willy Wumpa Cheeks. And if I had my own way, I would have definitely added Skunk. Let me know down below what characters did not make it to Nitro-Fueled that you would have personally added if you had the choice. Thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Definitely subscribe if you're new here, and I'll see you all in my next video.